So are you not positing the idea that those vehicles contain, beings who are, maybe like us?
Yeah, I only go along with government images. And if you want to know about people kind of thing, there is the ship that picked up the Voyager capsule at Alameda Naval Shipyard, and they have a picture there of I think it's the Apollo flight that Buzz and Neil were on. But anyway, there is one image there that shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off.
Not dark, black.
Black skin.
Really black. Yeah.
Were they tall?
Yes.
Very tall?
Yeah.
How tall? Do you know?
Well, they got out the doorway. I don't know how high that is, but
well, what?
It's safe. 7 feet would be probably a conservative estimate.
Huge cigar-shaped ship appeared over the Air Force base. These cigar-shaped ships were over a mile in length. One of them landed on the airport landing strip area. When it touched the ground, it created an earthquake like about a 3.5 to 4.0. It terrified everybody in the area. The back of this craft opened up, and several hundred young men with huge, heavy weapons came out of two sides of the ship and formed a protection line around the ship. And the people at that Air Force base, the commander, had a meeting with the individuals that were aboard this ship, and this particular race that landed those ships and that are seen in these huge cigar-shaped ships, they are a black race. They look like African Americans. They were about 6'4", 6'5". These tight-fitting black leather outfits on, and the weapons that they came out of the ships with, they were huge weapons. And if you've ever seen a race of people that were conquerors, that had never been conquered, they've got this look about them of arrogance. That is exactly what these extraterrestrials had, and they informed these people at this American Air Force base that not only were they from a militaristic society, but they had controlled a large portion of the galaxy that we live in. And this was the statement that Ronald Reagan was making to the United Nations.
I couldn't help at one point in my discussions privately with General Secretary Gorbachev, when you stop to think that we're all God's children wherever we may live in the world, I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe. We'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. I think maybe I'd answer it this way. I keep, in my frustration sometimes, actually, if you count some of the things going on smaller countries and all. There have been about 114 wars since World War II. But I've often wondered, what if all of us in the world discovered that we were threatened by a power from outer space, from another planet? Wouldn't we all of a sudden find that we didn't have any differences between us at all? We were all human beings, citizens of the world, and wouldn't we come together to fight that particular threat?
Is coming, and he is not stopping! Open fire! Fire!
All right, shalom, shalom. All right, you see that the angels, okay, they're so-called black men, you know, and they resemble, okay, Yahweh Shai, who the world English calls Jesus the Christ, and they resemble the Father Yahweh, who the world English calls God. You see, and they're coming, okay, well, Yahweh Shai, okay, is coming with the angels to bring a destruction, man. You see, so we're gonna grab a couple scriptures on that, and then that'll be it. Before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Quadash, and double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of the great millstone, from which I learned this truth. Peace and blessings to the house of David, doing this work with all righteousness, truth, and sincerity. And I want to say shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom. Let me start. Let's go to the blue letter, because I want to read it in the NLT. Let's go to Ezekiel, the first chapter. And the subheading in the King James says, the vision of four figures. Now this is going to describe, okay, the angels. I'll start off from verse 3, Ezekiel 1 and verse 3 in the NLT. It says, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai gave this message to Ezekiel, son of Buzi, a priest besides the Kibar River in the land of the Babylonians. And he felt the hand of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai take hold of him. It says, as I looked, I saw a great storm coming from the north, driving before it a huge cloud that flashed with lightning and shone with brilliant light. Now this is describing, okay, a chariot. This is a huge cloud, okay, a big chariot, man. You see, and it flashed with lightning and it shone with brilliant light, because when you see the chariots in the sky, that's what you see. I mean, you see them come in different ways. Sometimes, you know, they look like clouds. Okay, well, they look like lights. Okay, sometimes you have a light with lights, you know, around it. You know, that's what they look like. You know, that's when they appear. Okay, that's what you see, the sightings. Again, it says, as I looked, I saw a great storm coming from the north, driving before it a huge cloud that flashed with lightning and shone with brilliant light. It says there was a fire inside the cloud, and the middle of the fire glowed something like gleaming amber. So this is describing, okay, a big chariot, a so-called UFO. Matter of fact, let me grab this. That's the book of 2 Kings, chapter 2. I'm gonna go right to the point, verse 11, and it says, and it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire. Now, even when you Google Columbus, okay, Christopher Columbus, okay, which, you know, he was a Cristobal Colon, okay, he described, okay, a chariot of fire. He described a so-called UFO, okay, that really was the Lord leading them, okay, to the, you know, to Hispaniola, man. You see, because ultimately it was the Lord's mindset, okay, or determination, okay, to bring judgment, okay, upon the northern kingdom. You see? But when you go into that account, okay, this devil, he describes, okay, some sort of light, okay, and that light led him. Listen, it says, again, and it came to pass as they still went on and talked that, behold, there appeared a chariot of fire. And this is speaking about Elijah and Elisha. It says, and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. So that whirlwind is describing that UFO because it spins. You see, that chariot came down because they were walking together. See, and Elisha did not want Elijah to go. But when that chariot came between them, it separated them. Then Elijah, okay, he got beamed up. Listen, and Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel. See, and the horsemen thereof. It's describing the vehicle, okay, and the angels. It says, and he saw him no more, and he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces. So he was he was in mourning. You see, he was in mourning because, again, he didn't want Elijah to go. So again, this is describing, okay, the so-called UFO, man, or UFOs, UAPs, okay, orbs. Okay, now they're calling them meteors. Okay, hey, this is describing the chariots of the Lord, man, the vehicles that the angels maneuver in. So let's go back. Ezekiel 1:5. It says, from the center of the cloud, listen, came 4 living beings that look human. Yeah, because the angels can appear that way. They can appear in human form. Matter of fact, you got that account. See if I remember where it's at. I believe it's well, there's a couple, but let me get this one. I believe it's Judges, Manoah and his wife when they seen the angel. Was that Judges? I believe it's let me see, Slakia. Judges, the 13th chapter. Let me see where it's at. Yeah, Judges 13:6. It says, then the woman came and told her husband, saying, a man of God, okay, of power, came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of the Most High. So he looked like an angel. It says, very terrible. But I asked him not whence he was, neither told he me his name. But let me get to the point, to showing you that the angels can appear like men. Verse 17, it says, and Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, because he came back and appeared, okay, to his wife again. Manoah prayed, okay, that the angel would come back, and he did. You see, he came in again, and he appeared, okay, to his wife. It says, and Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, what is thy name? That when thy sayings come to pass, we may do the honor. And the angel of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai said unto him, why askest thou thus after my name, seeing it is secret? So the angel said, I don't got to tell you my name. It says, so Manoah took a kid with the meat offering and offered it up into a rock unto the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Again, it says, and offered it upon a rock unto the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and the angel did wondrously. And Manoah and his wife looked on. For it came to pass, when the flame went up toward heaven from off the altar, it says that the angel of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai ascended in the flame, of the altar. And Manoah and his wife looked on it and fell on their faces to the ground. It says, but the angel of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai did not appear to Manoah and to his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was an angel, of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. See, so the angels can appear, okay, as men. You know, and you've seen the power of the angel, man. He jumped in that flame and ascended into the heavens. Matter of fact, the scripture says what? That they excel in strength. Psalms chapter 103 and 20. Yeah, it says, bless the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, ye his angels. Listen, that excel in strength and do his commandments, hearkening unto the voice, of his word. So the angels, they keep the commandments of the Lord, man. You see? And let's go back. Ezekiel 1, and I'll read verse 5 again. It says, from the center of the cloud came 4 living beings that looked human. It says, except that each had 4 faces and 4 wings. See, now, could they appear this way to Ezekiel? Yeah. Hey, because the Lord can do anything, man. You know, but really, this is going into what? The characteristics, okay, of the angels. Listen, you know what? Let me jump down to verse 10, just to get into that a little bit. It says, each had a human face. See, in the front was represented, okay, wisdom. This is the face of the lion on the right side. See, the face of a lion on the right side. Why? Because of the angels, they have courage. It says the face of Enoch on the left side, which represents the strength. And we just read it in Psalms 103, say they excel in strength, man. You see again in that account, when that angel, okay, of the Lord jumped into the flame and went into the heavens, man, that's power. It says, and the face of an eagle on the back, which goes into what? Okay, the ability to fly, man. Okay, the speed. Okay, having that ability to fly, okay, with speed. You see? So let's jump back up. And I'll read verse 6 again. It says, except that each had 4 faces, see, and 4 wings. And again, they could have literally appeared that way to Ezekiel. Again, the Lord can do whatever he wants. Listen, verse 7, it says, their legs were straight, and their feet had hooves like those of a calf, and shone like burnished bronze. So it's describing, okay, the way the feet look, and describing the color, man. Burnished bronze, just like the color that describes the Lord, Yahweh, and his son, Yahweh Shai, man. You see, in the feet, like the calf's feet, because they had like if you just look up, I'm not going to do it. I don't have internet right now on, you know, where I'm at, but I'm here in the parking lot. If you just look up ninja boots, see, it shows you the shoes of a ninja, or the boots of a ninja. They appear, okay, like a calf's foot. That's what he's describing. See, and he also was describing, okay, the color of the angels, okay, burnished bronze, okay, just like the Lord and his Father. Let me get that. That's Revelation. Let's go to the first chapter. Revelation chapter 1, and let's go to verse 13. It says, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like the Son of Man, clothed with the garment down to the foot, and girded about the paps with the golden girdle. Speaking about the Lord, man, Yahweh Shai. It says, and his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow. Now this is describing, okay, the texture, man. Okay, and the color of that texture, okay, which was white, okay, like wool, man. Okay, that of a sheep or of a lamb. It says, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Why? Because the Lord, okay, it was said that he was a wine bibber. Okay, it didn't mean he was a town drunk. Okay, like you know, when you watch what is that the Andy Griffith Show? Okay, Otis, I was in that drunk cell. No, the Lord wasn't the town drunk. No, but he consumed wine. You see, but because he had to deal with Jake, man. You see, and again, this is describing, okay, his hair, man, that texture, okay, and the color of it. You know, hey, man, dealing with Jake, man, hey, his hair turned white. You know, it says, you know, and you have a lot of people just describing, you know, his majesty or whatever. Well, of course, okay. But then, you know, how are you going to get around this? Listen, and his feet like unto fine brass. What does brass look like? Okay, it's like goldish, okay, goldish brown. It says, and if they burn in a furnace. Now, when you burn something in a furnace, okay, what color does it turn? It turns dark, man, black. Listen, and his voice is the sound of many waters. So he had a loud voice, man. You see, so if the Lord's feet, okay, were like burnished brass, meaning that they were black, okay, they were dark, okay, what is the rest of his body going to look like? It's going to be dark, man. You're going to have dark feet, and then the rest of your body is so-called white or so-called, what do they say, olive, okay, where he was green. Nah, man, olives, okay, they come in different colors. Okay, they're green, okay, they're brown, they're black, man. So what color was he? Was he green? It doesn't make any sense, man. No, he was a so-called black man, very dark. Matter of fact, let's get this in, let's go to the book of Daniel. Daniel, the 10th chapter, and verse 5. Listen, and again, this is describing Yahweh Shai. Then lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, It says, whose loins were girded with the fine gold of Uphaz. So again, it's describing the Lord. Listen, his body was like the beryl, which he had on a green garment. It says, and his face as the appearance of lightning. It says, and his eyes as lamps of fire. Again, because of consuming that wine. It says, and his arms as his feet. It says, and his arm and his feet, listen, like in color to polished brass. You see, so now it's giving you a description of his arms too. Okay, we just read about the feet, okay, in the book of Revelation. Now it's describing his arms. You see, like polished brass. Again, dark. And the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. So again, it's giving a description of the Lord, man. What he looked like, okay, and that he had a very loud voice. You see, so the angels, this is what they look like. They look like the Lord and his Father. Matter of fact, they stay here in Daniel. It's going to give a description of the Father, Yahweh. Daniel chapter 7, and let's go to verse 9. It says, I beheld till the thrones were cast down. Okay, what thrones is it speaking about? Speaking about the rulerships, man. Okay, the heathen rulerships. It says, and the Ancient of Days did sit. The Ancient of Days, okay, speaking about Yahweh. Matter of fact, let me grab this real quick. What is that? Actually, you know what? Let's get this. Let's get this in a different Bible app. This is the book of Job. Bear with me. Chapter 36 and verse 25. Let me get it in the King James and Salakia. I don't really use this app too much, but I'm gonna use it now. Matter of fact, Salakia, it's not verse 25, it's verse 26. Salakia, it says, behold, it says the Most High is great, and we know him not. Listen, neither can the number of his years be searched out. So he's speaking about the Ancient of Days, man. Okay, no beginning or no end. Okay, now when you speak about the Son, Yahweh Shai, it's called what? The Alpha and the Omega, man, the beginning and the end. So let's go back, Daniel 7 and verse 9 again. It says, and I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. Speaking about the Father, Yahweh, listen, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head, see, like the pure wool. Again, giving a description, okay, of the color of his hair, okay, and the texture, man, pure wool. It says his throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as the burning fire. Speaking about the chariots, man, the so-called UFOs. So when you just do the research and you're honest with yourself, if you look up whose hair, okay, is like the texture of wool, man, it's going to tell you it's a so-called Negro, a so-called black man. Okay, so the Father, the Son, and the angels, okay, they're so-called black men. Listen, a fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. So millions of angels. Listen, the judgment was set, and the books were open. So let me jump down a little bit to verse 13. Listen, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven. Speaking about the chariots, man, the so-called UFOs, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. You see, so the angels, okay, they brought the Lord Yahweh Shai in the so-called chariot. They brought him to his Father. See, again, proving that they're two different spirits, man. Verse 14, it says, and there was given him dominion and glory and the kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. And his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, man. You see, so that ultimately that's what the Lord going to do, man. Yahweh Shai going to come with the angels, which are so-called black men, okay, to bring down the rulership of the Edomites, Esau, because they're in the power seat position. But in turn, okay, that's going to be the downfall of all these nations, all these kingdoms. Let's get one precept for that. real quick. What is that? Revelation chapter 11 and verse 15. Listen, it says, and the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his anointed, and he shall reign forever and ever. You see? But in order to do that, okay, Yahweh Shai's got to come down with the angels, okay, and bring this destruction, man. And again, he's gonna use, okay, the chariots, the so-called UFOs, and again, they're so-called black men. Let's go to let's get one more, then we'll close it out. I'm gonna get this in the NLT. I didn't want to make this long. Just wanted to make that point. What is that? Zechariah chapter 5, and we'll start at the top. It says, and the subheading in the King James says the flying scroll, which is talking about a so-called, okay, UFO. Listen, I looked up again and saw a flying scroll through the air. What do you see? The angel asked. I see a flying scroll. I replied, it appears to be about 30 feet long and 15 feet wide. So it's speaking about a smaller, okay, so-called UFO, a smaller chariot. Listen, then he said to me, this scroll contains a curse that is going out over the entire land. One side of the scroll says that those who steal will be banished from the land. The other side says that those who swear falsely will be banished from the land. Okay, who's done that? The scripture tells us that the thief comes to what? Lie, kill, steal, and destroy. You see, in that time, okay, in John the 10th chapter, okay, it was speaking about, okay, wicked Jakes. But in this time, that's speaking about these damn devils, man. The Edomites. You see, and they sworn falsely because why? They lied upon the Lord, man. Okay, they X'd him out. Took away his purpose, took away his image, okay, took away his name. Listen, and this is what the Lord Yahweh Shimei Shai of heaven's armies, okay, what is that speaking about? Speaking about the chariots, man, the angels. Again, it says, and this is what the Lord Yahweh Shimei Shai of heaven's army says, I am sending this curse into the house of every thief and to the house of everyone who swears falsely using my name. Okay, because they claim they come in the name of the Lord, man. But no, man, they're liars. Okay, they're deceptive. Listen, and my curse will remain in that house and completely destroy it, even its timbers and stones. You see? Hey, so once the Lord brings the destruction upon so-called America, okay, and then to wherever else, okay, a lot of destruction, okay, has been determined. Okay, the so-called America is going to be what? A desert land. It's going to be a dwelling place, okay, for the unclean animals. You see, as it tells you in Isaiah the 34th chapter, the stones of emptiness, see, and the lines of confusion. You're not going to be able to tell where anything was at, man. You're not going to know where New York City was, where Las Vegas was, okay, so on and so forth. And again, wherever else the Lord's a lot of destruction, hey, them chariots are going to what? To bring that wrath, you see? And the angels are the ones that are going to be maneuvering in those vehicles. So with that, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm going to close out and give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Quadash, and double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of the great millstone, from which I learned this truth. Peace and blessings to the house of David, doing this work with all righteousness, truth, and sincerity. And I want to say shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom.